Just remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
Yes.
So you want to play from it up? Let me hear.
Because I don't know what is happening. I don't Jesus. I don't know what is happening. But only Jesus. Only Jesus. And that's all I can say. Only Jesus. Jamaica, I am desperate. I am desperate. I'm seeking you to come on board with me. I need a nation. Mighty God, I need help. I need help.
The call came at 9:48 p.m. Millicent McCurdy's phone lit up with a number she didn't recognize. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, but something made her answer. Mrs. McCurdy? This is Jerome from Vision Studios. I'm sorry to bother you so late, but Stephanie never showed up for her scheduled shoot today. We've been trying to reach her for hours. Millicent felt her stomach drop. Her daughter, Stephanie Williams, known to fans across Jamaica as Medikk, had left her apartment in Red Hills that morning, dressed in her signature all-black outfit, headed for what should have been a routine music video shoot. "What do you mean she never showed up?" Millicent asked, her voice shaking. "She texted me when she got in the taxi." That moment, a mother realizing her daughter had vanished without a trace would be the beginning of a nightmare that continues to this day. Welcome to True Crime Case Tapes. Today, we're examining the disappearance and murder of Stephanie Medikk Williams, a rising dancehall star whose promising career was cut tragically short in August 2023. But this isn't just another missing person case. It's a story about ignored warnings, dangerous connections, and a relationship that may have cost Medikk everything. Stephanie Williams wasn't just talented, she was on the verge of becoming dancehall royalty. At 29, her tracks Money Feelings, Overcome, and Boss Level had garnered her nearly 200,000 social media followers and collaborations with established artists like Shane O and Javalani. Her voice, distinctive and powerful, was becoming a fixture in Jamaica's competitive music scene. But Medikk wasn't content with just music. By day, she managed Reborn Holistic, her own line of natural skincare and deodorant products. Her mornings were dedicated to writing lyrics and planning music sessions, afternoons to building her business, evenings to rehearsals and studio time. This work ethic had transformed her from unknown to unmissable in just 5 years. She was always moving, always creating, recalls a fellow artist who worked with her in 2022. Stephanie had this energy that made you believe anything was possible, but she also had this stubborn streak. Once she made up her mind about something or someone, nobody could tell her different. It was this determination, the very quality that fueled her success, that may have sealed her fate. According to those close to Medikk, in the months before her disappearance, friends and family had repeatedly warned her about her alleged connection to a man serving time in prison. The exact nature of their relationship remains unclear, but multiple sources confirm that Medikk received explicit warnings about associating with someone connected to organized crime. "We told her to be careful," one friend stated. "We said those people weren't playing games, but she would just smile and say we were overreacting." Those warnings would prove tragically prophetic. On August 24, 2023, Medikk left her apartment wearing a black blouse, black tights, and black shoes. According to witnesses, she entered a taxi, presumably headed to her scheduled video shoot. She would never arrive. She would never return home. She would never record another track. The woman who had meticulously built her career, who planned each day down to the hour, had seemingly vanished into thin air. How does someone with 200,000 followers simply disappear? How does a woman known throughout Jamaica's music scene, recognizable on street corners and in studios across the island, go missing without immediate alarm? And why would a rising star on the brink of greater success risk everything for a relationship that everyone around her had flagged as dangerous? These questions haunted investigators for months, until February 14, 2024, when skeletal remains were discovered in a remote cane field in Wallen, St. Catherine. DNA analysis would later confirm what many had feared. Stephanie Medikk Williams had been murdered, her body discarded like refuse in an isolated field. The post-mortem examination revealed multiple gunshot wounds, execution style, suggesting this wasn't a crime of passion or opportunity, but a calculated hit. As we journey through this case together, we'll examine the evidence, the theories, and the heartbreaking reality that perhaps this tragedy could have been prevented. Before we continue, if you're new here, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us tell these stories and hopefully prevent future tragedies through awareness. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming investigations. Now, let's look deeper into who Medikk really was and the double life that may have led to her downfall. When Stephanie Williams first stepped onto Jamaica's dance hall scene in 2018, few could have predicted her swift ascent. Within just a few years, this determined artist from Jamaica would transform herself into Medikk, a name that resonated throughout the island's competitive music industry. Her breakthrough came with the release of Money Feelings, a track that showcased her distinctive vocal style and lyrical authenticity. The song gained traction on local radio stations and caught the attention of more established artists. This early success gave Medikk the momentum to release Overcome, which further expanded her growing fan base. But it was her collaboration with dancehall heavyweights Shane O and Javalani on Boss Level that truly announced her arrival as a serious contender in the music scene. The track demonstrated not only her artistic versatility, but also her ability to hold her own alongside industry veterans. Each release built upon the previous one, cementing her reputation as an artist on the rise. Her work ethic was exceptional, explains a producer who worked with Medikk in early 2023. She would arrive at the studio with lyrics fully prepared, concepts already developed. She knew exactly what she wanted her sound to be. This methodical approach to her craft yielded impressive results. By the time of her disappearance, Medikk had amassed nearly 200,000 social media followers, a testament to her growing influence in dancehall music and Jamaican culture more broadly. Yet music represented only one facet of Medikk's ambition. Recognizing the need for financial stability in an unpredictable industry, she launched Reborn Holistic, a line of natural skincare and deodorant products. This entrepreneurial venture reflected her commitment to wellness and her business acumen. She would mix ingredients herself, recalls a friend who witnessed the early days of Reborn Holistic. She researched everything meticulously: plant properties, packaging options, marketing strategies. She approached her business with the same dedication she brought to her music. This dual focus meant Medikk maintained a rigorous daily schedule. Mornings were dedicated to songwriting and planning music sessions. Afternoons found her managing her entrepreneurial ventures, handling orders, coordinating deliveries, and developing new products. Evenings were reserved for rehearsals or studio sessions, a schedule that demanded discipline and vision. Despite her growing professional success, Medikk maintained close relationships with her family, particularly her mother, Millicent McCurdy. Friends describe how she would regularly visit her mother's home, bringing groceries and sharing stories about her latest projects. These family bonds grounded her as her public profile expanded. Within Jamaica's dancehall community, Medikk earned respect not only for her talent but for her authenticity. Unlike some artists who adopted personas vastly different from their true selves, those who knew her insist there was no separation between Stephanie and Medikk. Her warmth, creativity, and determination remained consistent, whether she was performing on stage or meeting with fans. She never forgot where she came from, says a childhood friend. When younger artists asked for advice, she made time for them. When community events needed performers, she showed up. Her success never changed who she was at heart. This combination of artistic talent, business savvy, family devotion, and community connection made Medikk a beloved figure, someone whose journey felt relatable to many young Jamaicans with similar dreams and struggles. But behind this public image lay dangerous connections that would ultimately lead to her demise. relationships that would transform this story of aspiration and achievement into a tragic cautionary tale. The investigation into Medikk's disappearance would eventually reveal connections far removed from her public persona as a musician and entrepreneur. According to police reports, by October 2023, authorities had begun exploring potential links between her case and individuals with criminal records, including one suspect who was already serving time in prison. This investigation brought to light an aspect of Medikk's life that few had known about: her alleged association with a man incarcerated for previous offenses. The exact nature of this relationship remains unclear, whether it was romantic, professional, or something else entirely, but its existence became a crucial element in understanding the events leading to her disappearance. The evidence suggests that Williams may have been in communication with someone operating from behind bars, noted Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey in a statement to the press. We are examining all communications and connections to determine how this relationship may have played a role in her disappearance. Those close to Medikk paint a complex picture of how this association might have developed. One theory suggests that her rising profile in the music industry brought her into contact with various producers and promoters, some of whom had connections to Jamaica's criminal underworld. What might have begun as a professional relationship could have evolved into something more personal and ultimately more dangerous. In this industry, you meet all types of people, explains a fellow musician who knew Medikk. Sometimes you don't realize who you're really dealing with until you're already involved. The lines between legitimate business and other activities can get blurry. According to family accounts, Medikk had mentioned plans to meet with an unnamed producer on August 24, 2023, the day she disappeared. This meeting never materialized in the way she had described it, raising questions about whether she had been lured under false pretenses or whether her plans had changed at the last minute. Law enforcement has since worked to determine whether Medikk was aware of the criminal associations of those she was involved with. The investigation points to two possibilities. Either she was deliberately recruited into these circles, possibly through manipulation and false promises, or she knowingly maintained these connections despite their dangerous nature. The investigative narrative suggests that her murder may not have been a spontaneous act of violence, but rather a targeted execution, states one police report. This assessment reinforces the theory that Medikk had become entangled in something far more serious than ordinary professional relationships. Friends recall attempting to intervene when they noticed changes in her behavior or questioned the people she was associating with. There were moments when she would be unusually secretive about certain meetings or calls, says a longtime friend. When questioned, she would dismiss our concerns. Her confidence in her own judgment was unwavering, even when that confidence might have been misplaced. Her mother, Millicent McCurdy, has spoken about noticing changes in her daughter's routine in the months before her disappearance. She started receiving calls at odd hours. Sometimes she would step outside to take them. When I asked who was calling so late, she would say it was about business opportunities. I trusted her judgment. Now I wish I had pressed harder. As investigators pieced together the timeline leading to her disappearance, a pattern emerged suggesting that Medikk may have been drawn deeper into these connections gradually, each step seeming reasonable on its own, but collectively leading her toward increasing danger. The same determination and self-confidence that had fueled her professional success appeared to make her dismiss potential dangers in her personal associations. Her belief in her ability to navigate any situation, a quality that had served her well in building her career, may have left her vulnerable to manipulation by those with darker motives. Law enforcement officials note that this tragic pattern is not uncommon. Talented individuals believing they can maintain control in dangerous situations, only to find themselves out of their depth when the true nature of those relationships is revealed. The question remains, was Medikk a willing participant in whatever activities connected her to these criminal elements, or was she a victim of sophisticated manipulation from the very beginning? August 24, 2023 began as part of Medikk's regular routine. According to witness statements, she woke early, as was her custom, and spent the morning preparing for what she believed would be a productive day. She selected her outfit with care, a black blouse paired with black tights and shoes, a look that had become something of her signature style. By mid-morning, Medikk had left her apartment in Red Hills, St. Andrew. Security camera footage from her building captured her exit at 10:17 a.m., phone in hand, appearing focused and composed. She walked to the main road where, according to multiple witnesses, she hailed a taxi at approximately 10:25 a.m. She looked normal, just like any other day, reported a neighbor who saw her enter the vehicle. She mentioned she was running slightly late, but would make it in time for her appointment. Here, the story begins to splinter into conflicting narratives. According to statements initially collected by police, Medikk had informed several people she was headed to a music video shoot. Text messages recovered from her phone show her confirming details about lighting and wardrobe with someone named Jerome, presumably connected to the production. However, in conversations with her mother the previous evening, Medikk had mentioned plans to meet with an unnamed producer to discuss a potential collaboration. This discrepancy, whether she was headed to a structured video shoot or a more informal meeting, became the first of many questions plaguing investigators. The taxi driver who transported Medikk that morning was identified and interviewed 3 days after her disappearance. His testimony added another layer of complexity to the case. She asked to be taken to Kingston, but during the journey, she received a call, the driver stated. After that call, she requested a change of destination. She seemed tense but not alarmed. According to the driver, he dropped Medikk at a location in downtown Kingston, not at any studio or official business, but at a corner where someone appeared to be waiting for her. The driver couldn't provide a detailed description of this person, noting only that it was a man wearing a cap who remained partially obscured by a parked vehicle. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Stephanie Williams. When Medikk failed to arrive at the scheduled video shoot, the production team tried repeatedly to contact her. After several hours without response, they reached out to her emergency contact, her mother, Millicent McCurdy. Millicent's response was immediate. She called her daughter's phone multiple times, each call going straight to voicemail. She contacted friends and colleagues, none of whom had heard from Medikk since early morning. By evening, growing increasingly concerned, Millicent made her way to the Constant Spring police station to file a missing person report. The officer took the information, but I could tell they weren't treating it as urgent, Millicent later recounted. They suggested she might have changed plans or decided to stay with a friend. They didn't understand. This wasn't like her at all. This initial police response, treating the disappearance as potentially voluntary, would later be scrutinized as a critical missed opportunity. The first 48 hours after a disappearance are often considered the most crucial for gathering evidence and following fresh leads. During this window, several key actions were delayed. Medikk's phone records were not immediately secured, allowing valuable data about her final communications to potentially be lost. The taxi driver wasn't identified or interviewed until day 3. The location where she was reportedly dropped off wasn't thoroughly examined until nearly a week had passed. Security footage from businesses near her last known location wasn't collected promptly. By the time these investigative steps were taken, the trail had already grown cold. Potential witnesses had departed the area, and any physical evidence had been compromised by weather and time. For Millicent McCurdy, these delays represented more than procedural oversights. They symbolized a system failing her daughter when every minute mattered. Before we continue with how the investigation finally gained momentum, if you're finding this story important, please consider supporting our channel by liking this video and subscribing. Your engagement helps us bring attention to cases like Medikk's and potentially provide closure for families still searching for answers. For nearly 6 months after Medikk's disappearance, the investigation yielded few concrete results. Her family lived in painful limbo, unable to mourn properly without confirmation of her fate, yet increasingly doubtful she would return alive. Then, on February 14, 2024, farm workers in Wallen, St. Fouad, Catherine made a grim discovery. While clearing a remote section of a cane field, they uncovered skeletal remains. Nearby lay items of clothing and personal jewelry that would later prove significant to the investigation. "We received a call about human remains," stated the responding officer. Upon arrival, we secured the area and began processing what was clearly a body that had been exposed to the elements for an extended period. The remains were transported to Linstead Hospital for preliminary examination before being transferred to forensic specialists. Despite the advanced decomposition, investigators were able to collect samples for DNA analysis, a process that would provide the answer Medikk's family had been dreading yet expecting. When DNA results confirmed the remains belonged to Stephanie Williams, the missing person case officially transformed into a homicide investigation. The post-mortem examination, though complicated by the condition of the remains, revealed critical information about how she died. The victim sustained multiple gunshot wounds, the official forensic report stated. The pattern and placement of these wounds are consistent with an execution-style killing rather than a spontaneous attack. What the examination also revealed was equally important. The remains discovered represented only a portion of Medikk's body. Despite extensive searches of the surrounding area, investigators were unable to recover her complete remains. A devastating reality that compounded the family's grief and complicated the forensic work. While partial remains were found, Medikk's complete body was never recovered, adding to the family's anguish, explained a police spokesperson. "We continue to search the area periodically, but environmental factors make additional discoveries increasingly unlikely." This partial recovery created significant challenges for forensic specialists attempting to document the full extent of the injuries and establish a definitive timeline. However, the evidence they did secure was sufficient to determine that Medikk had been murdered, likely within days of her disappearance. By June 2024, following months of intensive investigation, Deputy Commissioner Fitz Bailey publicly confirmed that several persons of interest had been identified. While their names remained undisclosed due to the ongoing investigation, police indicated these individuals had connections to organized criminal activity. "We have identified a number of persons of interest who we believe have information crucial to solving this case," Bailey stated. Some of these individuals have extensive criminal histories, including violent offenses. Most significant among these was an individual already serving time in prison, someone who, despite being incarcerated, maintained connections to the outside world and potentially ordered the execution from behind bars. This development lent credibility to the theory that Medikk may have been involved with someone connected to organized crime. The investigation increasingly pointed toward a contract killing, a planned, paid-for murder rather than a crime of opportunity or passion. This classification highlighted questions about potential motives. The evidence suggests a level of planning and coordination typical of contract killings, noted one investigative report. The method of execution, disposal of the body, and apparent lack of immediate physical evidence point to experienced perpetrators. Several theories regarding motive emerged. One centered on Medikk's alleged connection to an inmate. Perhaps she had learned sensitive information or was perceived as a liability. Another focused on potential financial disputes or contractual disagreements in her music career. A third examined whether her legitimate business ventures might have intersected with illegal operations. Despite the progress made, significant hurdles continued to impede the pursuit of justice. The advanced decomposition of the remains limited the ability to recover trace evidence that might have linked the crime to specific perpetrators. The remote location of the body, chosen deliberately to delay discovery, ensured that weather and wildlife disturbed potential evidence. Additionally, witness cooperation proved challenging. Those with information about Medikk's connections to criminal elements were often reluctant to speak with authorities, fearing repercussions. This code of silence complicated efforts to build a comprehensive case that could withstand legal scrutiny. Technical challenges further hampered the investigation. while phone records established some communication patterns. Encryption and the use of multiple disposable phones by potential perpetrators created gaps in the digital trail. Surveillance footage near where Medikk was last seen had been automatically overwritten due to the delay in identifying her last location. These combined factors, partial remains, limited physical evidence, reluctant witnesses, and technical obstacles, explain why, despite identifying persons of interest, authorities have yet to file formal charges in Medikk's murder. Since the confirmation of her daughter's death, Millicent McCurdy has transformed her grief into action. Far from accepting the slow pace of the investigation, she has emerged as the most vocal advocate in the quest for justice for Medikk. "They took my daughter, but they won't take my voice," Millicent declared during a community gathering in April 2024. "I will not rest until those responsible are held accountable." Millicent's advocacy extends beyond press conferences and interviews. She has organized community meetings, coordinated with advocacy groups, and maintained constant communication with law enforcement officials. Her persistence has kept Medikk's case from fading from public consciousness, a fate that befalls too many similar investigations. "Every week I call the investigators. Every month I visit the station in person," she explained. "They know I won't go away. I won't let them forget my daughter." Her efforts have garnered significant media attention. Publications including the Jamaica Gleaner, Urban Islands, and Loop News have provided extensive coverage of the case. From Medikk's initial disappearance to the discovery of her remains and the ongoing investigation, this media spotlight has increased pressure on authorities to resolve the case. The broader dancehall community has rallied around Medikk's family. Benefit concerts featuring prominent artists have raised funds for private investigators to supplement the official police work. Social media campaigns keep her story circulating, with hashtags demanding justice appearing regularly across platforms. "Stephanie wasn't just a colleague, she was family to all of us in the music community," stated one prominent dancehall artist. "Her story could have been any of ours. We won't let this stand without accountability." This case has highlighted troubling patterns in how violence against women is investigated in Jamaica. Advocacy organizations point to Medikk's case as emblematic of wider systemic issues: delayed responses to missing persons reports, limited resources for thorough investigations, and insufficient protection for women in high-risk industries like entertainment. "When a woman goes missing, the first 48 hours are critical," explained a representative from a women's advocacy group. "Too often, authorities wait, assuming she's voluntarily absent. By the time they take action, crucial evidence is lost." Law enforcement officials offer a contrasting perspective on why justice remains elusive in this case. They point to the complexities of investigating crimes potentially connected to organized networks, the challenges of securing witness cooperation, and the high standard of evidence required for prosecution. "We can't bring charges based on suspicion alone," said one official. "We need evidence that will stand up in court. Building that case takes time, especially when dealing with sophisticated criminal elements." Despite these challenges, Medikk's artistic and entrepreneurial legacy continues to flourish. Her music has gained new listeners since her death, with streaming numbers increasing substantially. Young artists cite her as an influence, not only for her musical style, but for her business acumen and community involvement. Her holistic product line, Reborn Holistic, continues to operate under family management, providing natural skincare and deodorant products to a growing customer base. A portion of proceeds now supports organizations working to protect women in the entertainment industry. "Stephanie built something meaningful," her mother reflects. "Her voice, her products, her impact, they live on. But that doesn't replace justice. Nothing replaces accountability." If this story has impacted you, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support enables us to continue investigating cases like Medikk's and bringing attention to stories that might otherwise go untold. Check out our True Crime Stories playlist for more cases that reveal the dangers lurking behind seemingly ordinary relationships and the warning signs that went unheeded. The tragedy of Stephanie Medikk Williams serves as a powerful reminder. When those closest to you identify danger in your relationships, their warnings deserve serious consideration. No career opportunity, no personal connection is worth risking your safety. Medikk's talent and determination brought her to the edge of stardom, but her associations may have cost her everything. While her music plays on and her business continues, the most important question remains unanswered. Will those who took her life ever face justice for what they've done?